I want to shout out my brother G Thang for keeping it real and staying by my side and accepting them prepaid phone calls. Having someone to vent to, and shout out to Miss Lady Pinks for keeping up with me and letting me know that raza by my side. God bless y'all.
For the release of 3 Pharr teenagers charged with killing an accused child molester.
All 3 remain jailed tonight on bonds of at least $1 million. Thousands of people have signed an online petition calling for their release. Earlier this evening, dozens of people in support of the trio showed up in front of municipal court and police department in Pharr.
And that's where we find Channel 5's Treviño Gonzalez. And Treviño, during the arraignment Sunday, the Treviño brothers told the judge they were citizens of Mexico. They also both declined his offer to notify the Mexican consul of their arrest. Is it even possible to release the 2 brothers involved, or would there be an immigration hold?
Based on my experience, it seems very likely that they are going to be able to stay behind bars because of what you had just mentioned, that in addition to those particular bonds that you have mentioned. Now, over here, during that protest, justice was really the #1 thing that was mentioned. Once again, they're trying to demonstrate here that the Pharr Police Department is being criticized for not previously arresting the man who ended up being killed allegedly by these 3 teenagers. Now, the people who we spoke with out here collectively agree that the killing of 42-year-old Quintanilla was something that was not the right thing to do. But still, they are pushing, even though it seems very unlikely, that these 3 individuals are released.
As 3 teenagers currently sit in jail, support now pouring in for those charged with killing a man accused of sexually abusing a child family member.
They're doing it for a reason. We know that he's a hero with his brother and along with the other friend. And, all we could do is just support him.
An outsider might be caught off guard to see this kind of encouragement, but many believe the brazen killing was justified and a way to protect family.
Someone was literally beat to death with brass knuckles. Do you see that as effective justice?
I do. I know it sounds bad, but I do. Yes, I do.
The man who was killed, 42-year-old Gabriel Quintanilla, had an arrest warrant for continuous abuse of a child, a case unrelated to what took place this month, police say. Authorities were never able to find him until they found him beaten to death in a field. As a result, some criticism being shifted to the department.
It happened several times, like what are we supposed to do? Like the Pharr department knew he was wanted and nothing ever happened. He was still wanted and they never got him.
A long-term friend trying to find the words when asked if this kind of assault that took place was warranted.
It's just hard to explain, knowing that, I just never would have thought that they would have done something like that. And I know that it wasn't their intention.
Whether it was intended or not, judgment now rests in other hands, something that makes these supporters wish that those reacting may have done differently.
There definitely should have been a different ending to this. It shouldn't have been really, there shouldn't have been any violence, but, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to protect your own.
One of the protesters say a similar demonstration will be held tomorrow evening as well. I asked one of the organizers if there are any efforts that they are collectively doing as a part of this movement, and they say they are beginning to raise money for defense for those 3 individuals. Live in Pharr, Treviño Gonzalez, Channel 5 News at 10.
Good evening, Valley, and welcome to CBS 4 Valley at 10. I'm Chris Jacobs.
And I'm Faith Woodard. First on 4, our coverage of the 3 Pharr teens charged with the murder of a man accused of touching a young relative inappropriately continues tonight.
An online petition is circulating calling for their release. So far, it has 280,000 signatures. CBS 4's Karina Vargas spoke with the petition's creator about the change he's hoping to make.
These are kids. I mean, they're 17 and 18-year-olds. And regardless of whether you think what they did is right or wrong, I think we can all agree that they shouldn't spend the rest of their lives in prison.
Carlos Eduardo Espina is the creator of this Change.org petition for the 3 teens, Alejandro Treviño, Christian Treviño, and Juan Eduardo Melendez. All 3 are facing charges in connection to the killing of 42-year-old Gabriel Quintanilla.
They're facing capital murder charges, which here in Texas have a minimum sentence of life in prison without parole. So if they do get convicted of these charges, they will spend the rest of their lives in prison.
The petition addressed to Governor Greg Abbott has received over 280,000 signatures, and the number keeps growing. Espina says he is looking for change.
Mostly, I just want a reevaluation of the case, see if those charges can be dropped to something lesser, and potentially try to bargain for the best possible deal for them.
A local defense attorney explains how petitions like this one can enact change, but to a certain extent.
The governor, once the proceedings are done, should he choose to do so, could grant a pardon. That is within his legal authority. But it's not within his legal authority to step in at the very beginning and ask someone to just be released.
Defense attorney Jesse Villalobos says other cases across the U.S. have shown the impact of political pressure.
It does certainly put pressure on the local authorities to, one, lower the bonds, and two, when they proceed with the case, how they handle it.
Villalobos says this case is tragic, but to have order in society, one must go through the legal system, something Espina says has failed repeatedly, which is why he is calling for change now. Working for you in McAllen, I'm Karina Vargas.